Am I the a-hole for refusing to keep paying the bills now that my boyfriend is loaded? I, 29F, have been with my boyfriend 31M for 6 years. We've built a life together, sharing everything, supporting each other through tough times, and always splitting expenses down the middle. I work as a high school teacher making $45,000 a year, while he used to work as a mechanic earning around $50,000. We weren't rolling in cash, but we made it work as a team. When things got tough, I always had his back. During the pandemic, when his hours were cut, I covered most of the bills without hesitation because I believed we were working toward a shared future. I even gave him a lot of money for this project of reselling these things, which completely failed and almost drove us to bankruptcy. I never made him feel guilty because that's what you do when you love someone. A few months ago, everything changed. His estranged uncle passed away and left him $800,000 in cash and a fully paid vacation home in Colorado. I was genuinely thrilled for him. I thought this could be a turning point for both of us. I imagined a future where we could finally breathe a little easier, maybe even start planning for a family or at least escape our cramped apartment. But instead of bringing us closer, the money created a huge divide. The moment the inheritance hit his account, he told me outright that it was his money and that I wasn't entitled to any of it. I didn't expect a handout, but I thought we'd share the burden a little more fairly, especially since I'd carried us when he couldn't. Instead, he quit his job, decided he was retired, and now spends his days gaming and treating himself to luxuries like expensive meal kits and new gadgets, while I'm still working long hours and paying half the bills. He even jokes that he's living the dream, while I'm exhausted every day trying to make ends meet. The final straw came last week when my car broke down. The repair bill was $900, more than I could afford without seriously cutting back. I swallowed my pride and asked if he could help, thinking after all we'd been through, it wouldn't be a big deal. He laughed and said,
"You've always been independent. You got this."
I was hurt. After years of supporting him emotionally and financially, the second he had the means to make life easier for both of us, he left me hanging. So I told him if his money is his, then the bills are his too. I'm done paying my share. Now he's calling me selfish and accusing me of using him. But honestly, I'm tired of feeling like a roommate while he lives like a king. So am I the a-hole for refusing to keep paying half the bills when he's sitting on a fortune while I'm barely keeping my head above water?
Here are the top comments.
He retired with $800,000 and is 29, not 92. Good luck with that. Sorry for you and happy he showed his true self early. $800,000 is no way near enough for a 31-year-old to retire on. OP, your soon-to-be ex is an idiot. What he should have done with the money was to invest it so he has passive income.
Not the a-hole. You're describing someone who is definitely not being careful. You're also describing someone who doesn't respect you and has no interest in an equal partnership. You need to ask yourself if you want to be his safety net once he burns through this money. Leave him and let him be alone with his money.
Am I the a-hole for telling my pescatarian friend it's her fault she ate meat? I, 23F, went out to dinner with my friend, 25F, over the weekend at a restaurant in our town. She's been a pescatarian since she was 14 and is a huge advocate for eating less meat. I am an omnivore, but I respect her lifestyle choices, especially as she doesn't shame me for my decisions. We've never been to this restaurant before, so we were excited to try something new. She ordered a squid dish and I ordered a beef dish. When our food arrived, we noticed her squid looked a little strange as it had pieces of what seemed like dark meat in it. She takes a bite and then calls the waiter over, asking if there's meat in it. The waiter confirms the wrong item was given to our table and apologizes profusely he didn't serve us, taking the dish away and promising the food will be remade correctly and taken off our bill. My friend, at the time, accepts this and says that she understands mistakes happen. I asked her if she was okay as she seems a little thrown off understandably, and she says she's fine but obviously disappointed. Her correct dish arrives and the waiter again apologizes to us and she seems okay from this point on. At the end of our meal, the restaurant brought us complimentary desserts as an apology, and when we pay just for my dish and drinks, she leaves a tip. The next day, I have a look at the restaurant on on Google and can see she's left a bad review 1 over 5 stars where she details how they brought the wrong item, how distraught she is as a result of their mistake, and demanding compensation even though the item was taken off our bill and we got free cake. I'm not defending the restaurant as this lack of care is definitely a serious fault. But when the waitress who seated us asked us for any allergies or dietary requirements, she didn't mention she didn't eat meat. She only brought it up after the wrong dish was made. I texted her, asking why she left such a poor review, and she said that the mistake was unacceptable. I then told her that it's partially her fault that she ate meat, because we both noted that her dish looked like it had meat when it was first brought out and that she should have asked the waiter first before eating it. She then retaliated and said I was being insensitive and is no longer replying to me. I just think it's odd that she said everything was fine and left a tip to then complain on Google. Edit to add. I also want to add that we are in the UK where tipping is optional. There was no service charge already added to the bill, so the tip was entirely her decision. As many of you have suggested, I've posted my own review to clarify what actually happened. So am I the a-hole for telling her that it was kinda her fault?
Here are the top comments.
Not the a-hole. I've been a pescatarian since age 7. If she thought the dish might contain meat, she should have checked with the waiter first instead of checking with her mouth. Mix-ups like these happen. It sounds to me like the restaurant did perfectly fine in terms of compensation.
Not the a-hole. She thought it was meat, and she ate it. Accidents happen, and the restaurant went out of their way to fix it. I myself would write a review of what actually happened and put it online. Your friend has little empathy, and I'm sure she has never made a mistake. I say good riddance to her.
Am I the a-hole for paying for my kids' class trip when their stepsister and stepcousin can't go? My ex and I both 30 separated after the birth of our twins 8 years ago. We had only dated for 14 months when she got pregnant, and we only stayed together during the pregnancy because we wanted to try and be a family for our kids' sake. But she met someone else and fell for him and wanted to have a chance at love. Our separation was amicable enough. We co-parented well for the first 2 years. But when she met her husband, things changed. Not the guy she fell in love with during our relationship. He was a single father and sole provider for his daughter, who was the same age as our kids, and she declared I would be responsible for including her like she was my child too if I was buying gifts or doing anything fun with our kids. This started us on a bad path, and now we are parallel parents instead of co-parent because I was expected to babysit her stepkid and nephew and now younger daughter when I wanted to have fun with my kids, and I was supposed to spend equally across all kids for gifts. Ex and I have 50-50 custody. Nobody pays child support because we both have our kids an equal amount of time. My kids and I are close. I do not include the other children at their mom's house when I have them, and I do not interact with those other children. 3 years ago, their stepdad's nephew moved in with them, and a year later, their mom and stepdad had a baby daughter together, so they have a stepsister, stepcousin, and a half-sister at that house, and my ex is expecting again potentially. This is partially where the fight comes from. The school the kids go to is small, so they're in the same class as the steps, and they have a class trip coming up in November to an interactive museum. It's expensive for a class trip at their age, but I can afford it and the kids want to go, so I paid. But my ex was pissed. She and her husband can't afford to send the stepdaughter and nephew, and my ex told me I should either pay for all for to go or all for could miss it. I said no. I told her I have the right to pay for them to go and the trip falls during my parenting time so I can send them. Her husband told me I was sabotaging their family and being a to kids who get to see their family go on the class trip they can't be a part of. He told me I should care more about all the kids. My ex backed him, of course, and said the kids hating each other will be all on me. So am I the a-hole here?
Here are the top comments.
Not the a-hole. This is ridiculous. So if you were to treat the stepchildren like your kids, do you get to trade off on claiming them as dependents on your taxes? I think not. Your ex and her husband are trying to pull one over on you. Keep that boundary.
Not the a-hole. It's on your ex and her husband making their kids resentful, not you. Their kids expect you to pay because your ex tells them you will. They didn't come up with that all on their own. If they can't afford those kids, why on earth are they having another one? I would not start paying for anything. It's a slippery slope.
Not the a-hole. Time for a court order communication. They are not entitled to for your money. Stop parallel parenting and stop gifting to the stepchildren. That's not necessary. Only worry about your twins. You are not responsible for someone else's child who has both of their parents.